Welcome to the webinar of How Our Pets Put the Heel in Healthy. My name is Casey Farm. I am the Director of Alumni Relations for the College of Public Health and Human Sciences. I'm extremely glad to have three amazing animal experts with me today from the various parts of Oregon State University. So let's waste no time in talking to each one of them. So first, I'd like to introduce Dr. Kris Otteman. And Kris, you are the Senior Advisor for the Oregon Humane Society and the courtesy faculty for the Carlson College of Veterinary Medicine. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, hi everybody. I went to Oregon State. I was in the third class from the College of Vet Med, so I definitely bleed orange and love all kinds of animals. I've spent a lot of time in general practice, corporate practice, and the last almost 20 years in shelter medicine.
Wonderful, Kris. Really happy to have you with us today.
Thank you.
Next, I'd like to introduce Megan McDonald, Dr. Megan McDonald. She's the Associate Professor and the OSU Impact for Life Faculty Scholar for the College of Public Health and Human Sciences. Megan, what a wonderfully long title that you have. Welcome. Glad you're here with us today.
It's so nice to be here today. I am really looking forward to this. And yeah, as you said, I'm an associate professor in the College of Public Health and Human Sciences and also the OSU Impact for Life Faculty Scholar. So a lot of my work is really with people, but in more recent years, we've been really looking at people and their family dogs together and learning more about how that interaction works, especially as it relates to physical activity. And one fun fact is that I've been doing all of this work with dogs, but my people that I live with are cat people. So we're on the fence. I keep sort of bringing up getting a family dog with them. So I think I'm getting close.
Family dog time. I'm telling you what, that's a big decision. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that a little bit later on, whether this is a good time to be adopting animals and whether they're furry friends or feathery friends or scaly friends, but you know, friends abound for sure. Thanks for being here, Megan. Lastly, we have Dr. Kristen Davis-Moore, and also has a wonderfully long title, the Campbell Family Small and Companion Animal Program Faculty for the OSU Extension Service and 4-H Youth Development. Kristen, wonderful to have you here with us today.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it is a very long title. Hi, everybody. Nice to see everybody here. We're gonna have a great conversation. I'm actually from North Carolina, so Oregon is my new home. Fun fact, before I came out here, I specialized in milking mice, so I don't think we're gonna talk about that today. So, but I do have a 120-pound Bernese Mountain Dog, who we are also a registered therapy team together, and I have a 12-pound cat who rules my house.
So when you are younger, did you know that you were to get into mice milking? Is that something that you really like strived for early on, or did that something you just kind of trip and fall into?
I tripped, I followed into it, I thrived in it, and I wear it as a badge of honor now. So.
Well, wonderful. Thank you for being here with us again today, Kristen. Appreciate it. So first question for you, Kris. You know, we have talked about already, you know, in our conversations beforehand, but how do pets contribute to our overall well-being and health, especially during these times?
Well, as you can see, I'm here with Lulu, who's one of my companion animals at home. And there's been so much good news about the value of pets and families and the human-animal bond, especially in the last 20 years. I think we all know that the fabric of our well-being is woven into the animals that we have with us. And I think, you know, especially during this time, the dogs and cats or other companion animals we have at home are giving us comfort and a focus. And they have really, I think, thankfully, no idea what we might be stressed about, but they can help relieve our stress. The dogs certainly get us up and get us outside. The cats probably are thinking, maybe you could give me some alone time while you go outside. But really, there's scientific proof that animals are good for us. They're good for our mental health and our physical health and our overall well-being. And I certainly have finding myself clinging even more closely to my animals at home during this time. And I'm sure others are.
Well, you bring up a really interesting point right there that I want to kind of touch on with Megan in how can our pets really improve us on that physical activity spectrum that Kris was talking about?
Yeah, so amidst our regular day, we tend to have pretty typical physical activity patterns. But you know, our animals and our family pets really help give us a little bit of extra physical activity. So whether it's coming home and playing with our kittens or our cats, and the most common one, of course, is walking the family dog. So it just adds that extra physical activity to the regular physical activity that we're often participating in. And the other thing is that it's often one family member that sort of is playing with or walking family dog, but often, we'll bring in other family members, so it will turn into a group activity or a joint activity that we're all doing together. Or, if we're playing at home, if we're playing fetch with the family dog, or like I said, playing with our kittens or our cats, then, we bring other people into that joint activity together too. So it keeps us physically active.
It sounds like there's some pretty big bonding moments to be had there. And that's where I want to kind of bring in Kristen. How do we really build those stronger bonds with our pets?
Yeah, so what everyone's been saying is some of the research that shows if we have a stronger bond, we actually maximize these health benefits that our pets can give us. So there's a lot of things that we can do, and a lot of that is being intentional in the amount of time that we spend with our dogs and our cats and all of our other companion animals that we have. So maybe not necessarily just focusing on exercising, but maybe even some quiet time. So I've spent more time just sitting with my dog outside and just being present and enjoying nature, reading next to my cat, and just, speaking out loud. It's very soothing to us, and it's also soothing to them. So having more of those intentional interactions gives us an opportunity to bond with them. Something that's happening that we may not know about is a physiological response is we could be getting surges of oxytocin in ourselves as well as our pets. And oxytocin is a really interesting hormone. It's a social bonding hormone. And so we may not be outside with our loved ones and our neighbors, but we can still get that connection with our pets right now.
Well, and the connectiveness is really important, especially on an emotional front. And I want to throw it back to Megan in really talking about how our pets aid us in the social emotional well-being.
Yeah, they aid us so much in our social emotional well-being. And we're connected with them, they're connected with us. And, I think it's always so important for people to find the right pet for them. But for starters, our pets give us a sense of responsibility. So they need us and they love us unconditionally. And our responsibilities really range in nature, but might include for us to get home on time, to take care of them or to feed them, or maybe to let the dog out, and just really caring for them and loving them. And they're also really connected with our emotions too. So I bet many of our listeners, and I certainly can think of a time when, my pet snuggled me a little bit more closely or connected with me when I was having a tough moment or a tough day. And they know us and they know our habits and they're connected with our emotions. And just like we love them, they just love us unconditionally too.
And, that's an important component, especially with some of the things that are going on right now. The new phrase that everyone knows that probably didn't know much about, even not just 2 months ago, in social distancing. And Kris, this is, I really want you to kind of chime in on, it's an important question that we've seen and that you wanted to talk about. What does social distancing mean for the individual or families and their pet or pets? What does that really look like in today's world?
Right. So many questions right now. And certainly pet owners are wondering, what does social distancing mean for me and my pet? Certainly that is a brand new phrase, a brand new idea. And every day it feels a little bit different, even in what it means to us as people. What I think is most important for pet owners to realize is that social distancing for your dog or cat is really exactly like what you're doing. Your pet can do whatever you're doing, whether it be in your house, going for a walk outside, enjoying time in the yard, reading quietly. Like Kristen said, it's just really mirroring what you're doing. One of the things that's really important with social distancing and what's going on in our world currently for pet owners to consider is that if a pet owner does become ill in the home, the recommendation for your pet follows that of the rest of your family members. So if I become sick, I'm going to isolate myself from the rest of my family, hopefully well enough to be at home. And I'm not going to have Lulu with me. I'm going to keep her away as well. That's just good common practice. And so we're really making sure that people know that. And the last part of it, I think, is just making sure you know what the plan is for your pet. We'll probably talk a little bit more about that as we move on. But I think it's just really a great time to hold them close and do whatever we're doing as we're going through the practice of social distancing.
And pets are such they're so great about picking up on our behaviors, right? I mean, that's one of the best parts about pets, is being able to kind of read our body language, and sometimes they understand what we need before, we ourselves even know that we need it. And this is where I want to come to Kristen, is like, how do I flip that, and how do I gain a deeper understanding of my pet's behavior?
Fascinating question. So I work in 4-H, and we believe in 4-H that you can learn a lot by doing. So we have this opportunity where we get this window of all these hours that we weren't at our home because of work or school, that we can really observe our animals' behavior. So something that we're doing right now, especially in 4-H, is we're encouraging kids and all family members to put their animal science hats on and to really observe and learn more about their pets. For example, looking at your cat's eat, play, groom, sleep cycle is really interesting. So this was one activity that we did with 4-H kids last week, in the 5 things that you can learn with your cat. So cats are interesting because they go through very small bursts of activity, whereas dogs can play for longer periods, they sleep for longer periods. We all know the little cat naps, where cats sleep pretty frequently. So I'm not a good drawer, so I actually did this on paper. You don't have to have anything fancy, but you can observe your cat's sleep cycle. So I created this diagram. So days were on the y-axis, time was on the x. You're now asking yourself, why did you start at 5 a.m.? Because my cat wakes my husband up at 5 a.m. for his first breakfast. And you can code this with just different codes, and you can see what your cat's eat, play, sleep, groom cycle is. And it's really interesting to look, because this also changes with your cat's age. It's a great way to see if your cat's healthy. If you see a big change in their behavior, it could be that first indicator. Maybe they're not feeling well, and you can start having a conversation with your vet. It's also really good for bonding. So if you realize when your cat likes to be groomed, those are the times to brush your cat, and you can have really positive experiences, especially with play too. So these are some of the fun examples that we're doing in 4-H. And people can check it out on Facebook, but it's a fun activity for all family members.
Now, when it comes time to like the sleep part, like you're really having to shade in a lot of boxes, because cats sleep a lot of hours, right? I mean, is your cat probably no different on that front?
Oh yeah, but I've been really, really fascinated by how much time he actually grooms himself. It's really great to kind of just learn a lot about our cats that I didn't know. He was grooming himself most of the time when I was at work. So
just never know. That's one of these wonderful opportunities that we're getting, that silver lining and being home with our pets a little bit more often than we normally are. Wonderful. Thanks, Kristen. You talked a little bit about, we just mentioned about like the sleep cycles, but animals are obviously very active as well. But Megan, talk about how pets act as a prompt for being active, and what that means and how that really applies to us.
Yeah, well, I within the College of Public Health and Human Sciences, I'm a faculty member in kinesiology. So we're all about physical activity. It's something that's really important to me. I literally, schedule it into my day to make sure that I'm getting enough physical activity. And even though I know it's so important, and I've literally dedicated my career to this, there are days where it's really hard to fit it in my schedule. But the thing about our pets is that their schedules, they haven't changed. So they still need to go for a walk at the end of the day. They still need to, be walked in the morning if that's a part of their daily routine. And so they actually prompt us to do those activities often. And I think it's really important, because even on those days that are hard, or it's hard for us to fit it in, they're going to prompt us to make sure that we continue with that behavior for them. And it's so important for their health, but it's really important for our health too.
So let's also pretend that we're like Megan, and we're thinking about getting a new dog or a new cat, or maybe we don't have any animals, or maybe 5 isn't enough. Maybe that 6th one is really what's gonna really put us over the top. Kris, talk to us. Is now a good time to foster, adopt, or help, even by donating or volunteering our time to a shelter? Is this an optimal time, or is this one of those things where you're buying a Christmas gift and happens to be a puppy, but who's taking care of the puppy come February? Talk a little bit more about it. Is this the good time?
This is a great time to volunteer, adopt, foster, or help a shelter. There are great human reasons for that, community reasons, and animal reasons. There's time for many of us to be at home and celebrate the bond we have with animals, or to bring a new animal into our home right now and make all the adjustments that might be crazy hard to do when we're outside the house doing what we usually do. It's a great time to foster. We're trying to make sure that there's room in the shelters around the Pacific Northwest and the whole country for emergencies. And so if you've got time to foster and care for an animal that might be sick or waiting to go into a home, it's perfect time to do that. And of course, animal shelters always need help. And right now during this crisis, for sure, it's a great time to give any support that you can. So I just can't say yes loud enough. The other thing that's coming up that's really interesting, I wanted to share in regard to pets, as you're bringing a pet into your home or with a pet that you already have in your home, it's a really good idea to take just a moment now and think about what your emergency plan is for that pet. You know, around the Northwest, we talk about earthquakes a little bit, and this pandemic brings to top of mind, there's like 4 or 5 key things you want to do to be prepared. One is have a plan for your pet. If you can't care for him or her, who's going to step in? Do they have access to your home? Do they know where the food is? Is there a copy of the medical record? Simple little things like that are really helping out around the country as we deal with this pandemic crisis, but they'll also be ready for whatever else comes up for our pets. So resounding yes, help shelters now, help pets all you can, and then be prepared for sure.
You know, I know people that are going to be watching this are going to be all over the country and all over the world, but being somebody who's at the Oregon Humane Society, Kris, how is OHS doing? Are they doing okay for volunteerism right now? Are they doing okay for fostering? You know, I know we want people to kind of check in wherever they live with their local shelters, but for those who are up in the metro area, up in Portland, how's Oregon Humane Society doing on that front?
Oregon Humane Society is doing great. We're very resilient and nimble and can pivot to whatever our community needs. Unfortunately, we don't have volunteers in-house right now just because of the social distancing practice and the importance of that. But we are meeting the needs of the animals in our community. We have the right amount of staff there to do a good job with the pets. We're contributing as much as we can to the overall public health well-being. So it's a good time to be helping, as I said earlier, any shelter, but know that Oregon Humane will always be there to help. One other significant difference, I guess, at Oregon Humane right now and for OSU is that we normally have a required 3-year week for senior vet students to rotate through our shelter and learn medicine and surgery and that type of thing. And unfortunately, we haven't been able to bring those students up these last few weeks, but we'll get back to that soon. And we love our partnership with OSU. We look forward to helping with education in the future, but we're resilient and we're here for the community. So thank you for asking.
Yeah, absolutely. And so now we have talked about maybe looking at and adopting a pet, fostering a pet. And right now, Kristen, you know, there's a lot of parents out there who having to play, being a teacher full-time on top of working and all of other parenting duties. But how can we learn with our pet, not just with those family members, but our pet family members? How and what can we learn with our pets?
This is such a great time to learn new things with our pets, and there are a lot of resources out there that we can do things virtually. For example, AKC now allows kids and family members to try out for a trick dog title, but do it virtually. So you can submit videos and they'll have somebody evaluate the videos and you can get titles virtually. So there's a lot of opportunities like that. I know me and my dog Bo have been doing nose work a lot lately. So I've been ordering a lot of boxes off of Amazon. And so you can do some fun little activities where you hide treats in boxes or maybe bowls or anything you can find around the house. And that's a really fun activity you can do with your dog. You can even try it with your cat. My cat's not too enthused, but cats could be fun as well. There's other things. There's been great podcasts. I follow Space Cat Academy on Instagram, and they do really great training tips. Our even own Dr. Kristen Vitale did a virtual science pub with OMSI, and those are now offered free. That was last week. So there are a lot of different opportunities and ways that we can stay connected and learn together in just more of a virtual format.
You know, Kristen, I know you mentioned AKC. Let's say you're a layman like myself. I might be able to guess what that is, but what is AKC?
AKC stands for American Kennel Club. It is an organization that helps to keep up with the resources and the knowledge base for dogs. But the great thing is any dog can be an AKC dog. So you don't have to have a purebred dog to do this. And also the really great thing is that AKC has always honored the work that 4-H kids do. So if you have a kid that loves their dog, this is a time for maybe they can think about learning with their dog, because AKC waives all fees with any kid that's in 4-H. So that's also another really great opportunity.
Thanks, I appreciate that. So just kind of some final thoughts of where we're going. And, Megan, I'm going to come to you first. But before we get to that, I just wanted to thank each and every one of our doctors. It's nice I can hang out with 3 doctors. As someone who's got a bachelor degree, I can say, hey, I did this webinar today when there was 3 doctorates between the 4 of us. So that was always really appreciative. So I appreciate all 3 of you coming here today. But just some final thoughts you want to be able to kind of share with our viewers out there. Megan, I'm going to come to you first. What are some final things that are just off the top of your mind that you want people to know during this time?
During this time, I think that our regular patterns are just different than they usually are. And physical activity is so good for us in so many ways, and can ease our daily routines, can ease some of the stress that we're under. And, doing those physical activities like going around the block or going for a walk with the family dog, it has a lot more impact and can really help with our regular days. So it's time to maybe extend some of those walks, or maybe go more frequently than you usually do, but just to get outside and enjoy time with your family pet.
Yeah, we're actually enjoying some nice dry patch of weather here in Oregon, so it's even a better time to be out there enjoying. Kris, what about you? Some final thoughts that you have that you want to share with our audience?
I think it's a really good time to tap into these new emerging things that have happened at the speed of light that can help people and pets. For example, when Kristen was talking about what 4-H is doing, or Megan, and ideas that are around there, what I'm seeing in animal welfare and vet med is, for example, you can go to the Oregon Humane Society website and get some help with virtual pet training right now. That's something that probably would have never happened. So take advantage of the technology on the vet med side, and even at our animal shelter, we're using telehealth. So people can send pictures, talk to the veterinarian real time. And of course, this is happening in human health as well. So I think, we're technically challenged sometimes that we're spending so much time at it, but I would say just get out there and look for ways to build our toolbox and enjoy some of the new things that are emerging. It's incredible.
Love that. Thank you, Kris. Kristen, some final thoughts that you want to share with our audience out there today?
I agree with everybody. I know everybody's comments, but one thing that I think, especially the past couple of days, that I have really relied on my pets is just being present in the moment. They are so good about processing our environments and just really just reflecting. And so I've spent a lot of just quiet time and just appreciating nature with my dog when we go out on walks. Some of our walks, our intentions that we set are just to be, so we're not practicing that beautiful heel or that leave it. I let him sniff as much as he wants. And it's been great just to really just see nature, the flowers that are blooming. I spent a lot of time with my cat, supervised outside, but having him just observe nature and the birds and the squirrels. It's just been really good for me just to unplug, because I've spent a lot of time on a screen lately, and it's just something that we can just revel in with our pets, and they're really just helping us through this time.
Well, I want to thank again each one of the 3 of our experts today, Kris, Megan, Kristen. I really appreciate you joining us today. This is a big collaborative webinar with the Carlson College of Veterinary Medicine, the College of Public Health and Human Sciences, 4-H, and OSU Extension, Oregon State University. The only statewide university in the state of Oregon has many reaches. And so talking about our furry or feathery or scaly friends, again, Kris, Megan, Kristen, thank you very much, and we hope to talk to you sometime soon.